Hello and welcome to the PocketGamer.biz Podcast. My name is Rick Cowley. I am the editor of PocketGamer.biz and this is our second ever podcast and hopefully we'll be able to record this one because we are constantly beleaguered by tech issues because this is our first real time ever really trying this. We are going to be talking about mobile games as is our want, and we will be discussing some of the bigger stories, some of the lighter stories, and our own little thoughts and feelings on everything. I am joined this week, as always, by Kaylee Partleton.
Hi.
And Matthew Ford.
Hello.
How is everybody doing? Are we all good? Have we all gone insane yet from being inside all the time? I know I have. I have very exciting news.
Just about. Yeah, I missed the outside, I'll be honest. Forgot what it feels like.
Forgot what it feels like just to walk to a shop and be able to buy something without having to stand in regimented lines. I have gone so wild that I have got... Oh, my webcam's over there. I've got a new tattoo.
Oh.
It's very dapper. It's a little bear.
Can I ask, how did you get this then?
It's a temporary tattoo.
Ah.
And it will come off in the shower.
You got us all excited then.
You tattooed yourself.
I know, yes.
That's a new hobby.
Stick and poke with just a pen and a needle, just jamming it into my arm.
It's impressive if that was true. Like...
Just to feel something, as the meme it goes. No, has anyone else done anything particularly wild lately that you're happy to share with the group?
I don't know. Temporary tattoo is up there like that. That is going wild.
Hooray!
I don't know what I've been doing. Like, I'm still going for runs and stuff when I can. Finished Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy is amazing. I'd recommend that.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It's just, what can you do in this climate?
Not really a wild thing to do is to sit down and play some video games, which is what we do all the time as video games journalists.
That's true.
Yeah, but Final Fantasy VII is the feels.
It is. 40 hours later, here we are.
But that's not mobile games, so we're going to move swiftly on from all this nonsense. I don't even know what a Final Fantasy is. But I do know, this is a great segue, I do know a thing or two about Animal Crossing, Pocket Camp, Sonic Forces blasting through its download figures, now 50 million, that's big. We've got Cooking Mama Drama continues, we've got Epic Games, they're doing a partnership with Travis Scott, which starts now. GDQ, so much news to get through. And hopefully we will without me crashing out and dying once again. But we will start with Apple has started to roll out its app store to 20 new countries. So specifically, it's rolled out to Cameroon, Democratic Republic of Congo, the Ivory Coast, Gabon, Libya, Morocco, Rwanda, Zambia, Afghanistan, Iraq, the Maldives, Myanmar, the Balkans, Oceania, and a few more. Those last two were regions, not countries, so there'll be places within those. So the App Store is now available in 175 countries globally, or it will be as they begin the rollout. I had no idea this was coming. Did anyone wake up the other day and think, I think today is going to be the day that Apple decides to roll out into Myanmar?
It was a bit of a surprise drop, to be honest. I don't think there was anything given ahead of time to indicate that we were planning this, but I guess it makes sense at this moment in time as we're in the pandemic and everything. They want more people playing games. That's
true, but I mean, like, people have to go out and buy those phones. So my assumption would be that iPhones aren't particularly, huge in the places where they don't have the App Store, because why would you buy one if you can't get access to the App Store? Because that's the whole point of having an iPhone, surely, is to, other than the status symbol of owning one, is to download all those great, wonderful apps.
Yeah, I mean, they can order them still, can't they? They're still making them. I think they were saying, obviously, production's delayed a bit, but you can pick them up.
It's just, I don't know what going outside is like, because I'm not allowed, so... So my sort of question to you to discuss on this further and chew over a bit more. Obviously, like, iPhones are expensive and iPads are expensive and App Store goes on both. And these regions that they're going for, like, I don't want to make generalizations or anything, but they're not exactly like known for being, wealthy parts of the world. Do you think this is going to lead to like Apple pushing its like iPhone SEs and cheaper products, or are we just going to see, is this just for a very small subset of customers in these places who are still going to be buying the more expensive like phones? What do we think? Kaylee, you were nodding briefly.
Called out.
I think that they're going to have to, if they want to get their money's worth out of these countries. You need to at least give the cheaper option. Because, like you say, don't want to generalize it, but these countries are not as wealthy as other parts of the world, and so to launch a £1,000 phone when they have got £600 models, it would be silly, really.
Yeah, I mean, not many people, I feel like, buy iPhones outright anyway. A lot of them are, subscription plans and everything. You pay whatever it is, £40 a month, $50, $60, whatever it is. So I imagine they'll start implementing similar offers and then, tailor it as they see fit.
That's true. I don't know how much uptake there's going to be even on those, though, because, usually in these kinds of regions, you see a lot more of the Android uptake, and that's because those phones still come in at, $100 or less. And, I've got an Android phone that's $100, well, £100, and it's perfect, and it does everything I need it to. And I just wonder if, even 6 times that amount is going to be out of reach for a lot of people. I'm just wondering if people are even going to want to stump up for that kind of subscription. Although, as you say, people do anyway in countries that are considered wealthy. So
yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, it's it's just expansion, isn't it? That you make it more available in more countries. There's more chance you're going to be able to sell more products, and
that's true.
It's all about revenue at the end of the day.
True.
And all the yes, and all the money they're really going to make is from they make most of their money from devices, but as we move into these pandemic times and the number of devices start falling and they're not going to be able to sell as many, services are going to be even more valuable, and that's why you've got Apple Music joining it as well as the App Store. So I think it's definitely a sign that they are going to be continuing to focus more of their efforts on the digital offerings that they can and taking their percentage cuts from that to try and keep their profits up.
Yeah, I mean, Apple did ship, I think it was something like 2.5 million iPhones in China last month. So people are still buying stuff.
Yeah, I guess I guess in China that's sort of behind where the rest of the world is in terms of ahead rather in terms of the pandemic curve is there. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see anyway, where this all goes. Yeah, it's really warm in my room. just want to
open a window.
I can't open a window because people outside are always shouting because they're all...
Take your shirt off.
Absolutely not. That's not what this podcast is about. And
PocketGamer.biz After Dark.
What you two do in your own streams.
No, this is very much PG-Biz during the day. Very much safe for work. Moving swiftly on, we are going to talk about Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. Now, I know me and Matthew are huge Animal Crossing fans. Fairly certain we spoke about it on the last podcast, even if it wasn't what we were supposed to be talking about. But
any excuse
at all, which is why we will be discussing the fact that we got in touch with our friends at Sensor Tower to find out more about how Animal Crossing Pocket Camp is doing. And we found that in terms of downloads, downloads have risen by nearly 800% since New Horizons launched. So that launched on March 20th, and the game has now seen 8.7 million downloads between March 20th and April 20th, which is pretty staggering for a game that was doing okay, but not exactly fantastically. I did have a question for this. Are people actually going to stick around to keep playing it, though, is the question, because I know the main sort of thought process I have here is that Nintendo is doing a lot of pushing for, if you download the game and then you do this quick sign up thing, you will get exclusive items in New Horizons that you can't get otherwise. So you will unlock a whole new menu of new items. Are people just going to log on and download it, or are they going to stick around for a bit and play the game? I don't know if anybody's still even playing Pocket Camp here.
I think potentially both. I mean, because for one, I am one of them people. I downloaded it again, went on. I mean, I'm telling a slight lie here. Me and my partner both downloaded it, jumped on. She got on, got all the rewards where you link the app to Switch version and you get some extra products in game. I couldn't get past the main menu because it just kept crashing continuously. I am on an iPhone 7S, so it's like I feel it's not a massively old one. It's not the most modern, but like
I
I feel like it should work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a bit disappointing. But I think obviously it just entices people to go back, which is obviously shown by these download figures and the popularity of Animal Crossing. Everybody's talking about it. Everyone on the web's either stuck inside playing it. So therefore, you will get your fix any other way you can. Then people will jump into it, play for a bit, maybe just get the rewards, and they go, "Oh, let's play this for a bit, see if I like it, and then maybe stick around." But I think a lot of people did that on launch and didn't stick around. So I can't really see it happening this time either.
I guess it's interesting because it could even act as like a side game for people who are playing New Horizons as like power players, and they reach a point where it's like, okay, I've played for like 3 hours or something daft like that. There's nothing really more I can do here. I'm going to stop. And then they go, well, I kind of keep want to play Animal Crossing. So they'll just pick up their phone and start playing that some more. I guess that's part of the reason why they're trying to encourage people to go back. I mean, yeah. Kaylee, did you play Pocket Camp at all? Has it shown any interest at all into the game?
I've never played any Animal Crossing game.
Not even Pocket Camp.
I've not even played Pocket Camp. I've not played any Animal Crossing.
That's ridiculous.
Missing out.
Well, would this... Okay, that's a new question then. If you did have the Switch game, would this encourage you to download the game? Would you be part of these statistics to get some extra items?
Oh yeah, to get the extra items, yeah. But I would also be one of the ones that got the items and then ran.
Yeah. I think that's fair, but like I played it quite a bit when it first came out, so I'm kind of curious. I don't know how the onboarding process has changed. If they're just sort of like aware of the fact that people are just going to download it for the first time, get the rewards and move on, or if like you're gonna have to get stuck into the tutorial first and get through a load of the content, and then it sort of like drags you in, and then you just like, oh, I'm gonna get the rewards. Actually, I'm enjoying the game, and I might stick around for a bit longer.
Yeah, I think the main difference is it's not as fun as the, Switch Animal Crossing, just because it's a lot of, how to put it, it's a lot of just dull tasks as opposed to Animal Crossing. Obviously, the whole game is sort of dull tasks in a way, chopping wood and all that. But all the what were the tickets you had in Pocket Camp? There weren't Nuke Miles, they're Switch.
Yeah, no, there was Nook tickets.
Is it just Nuke tickets? Yeah.
Yeah,
because there was a whole system behind that, and then there was lots of people that were unhappy with how that system was working, how the amount of work you had to do to get them and everything, and that seemed to cross over a little bit into the recent Easter event that happened or Bunny event for legal purposes, I guess, in the latest in Animal Crossing on Switch, which many people hated. There was outrage on the web, which I realise is very common, but. People were really unhappy, the tasks and everything, very repetitive. It took over the whole daily experience. And that is what Pocket Camp is to some extent. So not the best, I think.
I'm a Pocket Camp apologist through and through. I saw a lot of people, there is a lot of like mainstream complaint, but when you actually sort of dig into the people who are still playing it, they are playing it and they are spending a bunch of money. I mean, what was the revenue figures of it recently? Like, revenue jumped to $8 million over the past. That's 2020 revenue so far is $8 million, and it's accumulated $149 million overall. I mean, that's probably I don't know. I was going to say that's probably more money than New Horizons will ever make, but that is not true because New Horizons has
probably made that already.
Yeah, New Horizons has reportedly sold 5 million copies digitally. It's seen its biggest ever. It's like the third biggest Nintendo launch physically in the US. It's outsold everything else in the UK and Japan. So yeah, that's maybe not true. But
what was the crazy stat from Super Data? Where they're like it's the biggest digital launch ever?
It's the highest number of sales for a game in a month.
Yeah, digitally,
Yeah, digitally. So it sold 5 million copies, which is outselling like 2 Call of Duty games, which is pretty wild. So yeah. Okay. I take back that Pocket Camp will make more money than New Horizons, although it has the potential because it has free-to-play mechanics and can get there, and that's why Nintendo sticks with it. And it is the second best performing mobile game they have in their catalog, and that's all we're going to say on the matter, because because it is proof that the game is not as bad as everyone likes to complain about. And people do like the fortune cookies. I don't care what you say, it's not true. Moving on to other staggering figures. Recently, we learned that Sonic Forces, the mobile version, not the console version, has got 50 million downloads globally. Currently standing at $4.2 million in lifetime revenue. That's not a lot from 50 million downloads. That's... I can't do maths. Can anyone do maths?
Not on the spot, no.
Not on the spot.
But yeah, it's a nice little success story, I feel like, the downloads and everything. And I know the revenue is not the highest, but it does seem to have quite a passionate fan base from everything I'm seeing. You know, and the Sonic Forces brand from the start was pretty not great, let's say. You know, you're an Animal Crossing Pocket Camp apologist. I'm a Sonic apologist. So
also a Sonic apologist. It's not just Animal Crossing Pocket Camp.
And I played Sonic Forces on console, and it was just terrible. Like
superb. I believe you mean superb.
Oh,
yes.
It was like 3 hours. Like it wasn't a full game or anything. And I love so many Sonic games, Unleashed, Colors, Generations. But yeah, it just wasn't one. But the mobile game, they've seemed to have just grown it over time and put a lot of love into it. So it's sort of nice to see they are getting, you know, strong feedback. I mean, especially if you look on the App Store and anything like that, reviews are a decent number, whereas opposed to, you know, Forces on Metacritic, I think was 50.
That's 57 out of 100 on Metacritic, according to our article. Yeah, no, I actually quite liked Sonic Forces. It was originally called Sonic Forces Speed Battle, which makes it less confusing when you talk about it, but now I guess it's just called Sonic Forces. Yeah, it's quite a fun little endless runner, but they did enough with it to make it like an interesting, almost mid-core multiplayer game, while still having very casual mechanics that they were used to developing from Sonic Dash. Although Sonic Dash continues to be perform better. Says here that it's $10.4 million for Sonic Dash. I mean, it was released 4 years earlier. It's like that game's now nearly 6 years old at this point, but still continues to drag in people.
Very fun game though, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And at Sega Hardlight, they actually have a big arcade machine of Sonic Dash in the front room, and they let me play on it, and it was great. Kaylee, I'm afraid to ask, but have you ever played Sonic Forces on mobile?
I have.
Hey!
I have.
What did you think?
I much preferred it to the console version of the game.
Because you have good taste, yes.
I've loved Sonic for years, so anything Sonic, I will try it at some point. You can guarantee that.
Fair enough.
You know when people are always like, how does Sonic keep selling? Like, we're them people.
It's just us three buying it over and over and over again. That is true. I did pick up Sonic Forces in the PS Plus thing and get it downloaded. Again, not mobile. We just keep straying off mobile. We're very bad at this.
Yeah, I would say for the mobile version, you know, the marketing has been strong and the tie-ins. One of the most recent ones with the Sonic movie coming out, which was a massive, I feel like open goal missed by Sega, was they had no brand new Sonic game to go alongside the release of the movie. So, like, one thing they tied in the movie version of Sonic the Hedgehog and made him playable in the game, which was a nice little thing.
Yeah, and he looks grotesque.
He looks a lot better than he could have done, let's be honest.
The screenshot I saw, still terrifying. I did also do some maths, and this is probably wrong. I can't do maths. It looks like they made about 8 cents off every download.
Is that it?
Yeah. Unless I've done my maths wrong. I'm going to do this reverse. How do you calculate maths?
Well, it's always one of them things, isn't it? You always have your people that, you know, your top 10% or whatever that will spend $10 to $15 or whatever, and then most people will play it for free. Yeah,
and I think it is only supported by IAPs. There's no ads or anything in the game, so it is fair that they would be making. I mean, you know, $4.2 million still isn't to be sniffed at. That's going to keep the company going. So it's not exactly a small amount, but still, I would say not quite what they would be hoping for from a big Sonic game.
But critical reception, it's all positive, which is
nice. That's true
for a change.
Probably one of the best reviewed games for years, isn't it, from Sonic?
More than likely. Speaking of games that have bad reviews, yes, a segue that works. Cooking Mama, Cookstar. I think we talked about this in the last podcast.
We did.
Because it is one of my favourite stories of the moment. It's giving me such joy and happiness. So there is all sorts of legal drama going on around Cooking Mama at this point in time. And we've now had official... So this has all happened last week, but we missed a podcast, so we're going to talk about it now because it makes me happy. The official IP owner of Cooking Mama, Office Create, came out and said that they had never authorized the launch of Cooking Mama Cookstar because they didn't think it was up to par. They had never said that there was a PS4 version of the game allowed to be made, and that they will be looking into every legal angle to try and stop this game from being released or continue to be released, because the publisher, Planet Entertainment, is still selling the game and retail copies are still available. It's just no longer on the eShop. Planet Entertainment has now fought back and said that the Office Create actually did give the go-ahead for several detailed game designs in 2019, which is not today, so how that much that sticks in court is to be seen. And yeah, they claim that they have every right to be selling the game. I mean, does anyone care at this point? Is this just dragging on too long?
It's wild, this story.
It just keeps going.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
Yeah, that's true. It's a nice distraction from the pains of the world, is to watch, because I think we talked about this on the PocketGamer.com podcast. With James, and his kind of point was, this kind of legal action probably does happen a bit behind the scenes, and we just don't see it. So it's always fun and interesting when it spills out into the real world, and everyone has to start of watch as people air their dirty laundry, especially when it's a game so low stakes as Cooking Mama Cookstar, a game that nobody knew was coming out until the developers tried to stop it from coming out. Yeah,
it's cool to see behind the curtain for a change. I mean, it's interesting that, Cooking Mama was going to come out, and it might have sold reasonably well. It was quite popular. But now it's become this massive collector's edition where people are like scouring the web and eBay and whatnot just to get a copy, because people think in like a decade or so it's going to be worth, thousands.
It is remarkably easy to get a copy, actually, which makes me worry, because I picked it up thinking maybe this is going to be... a highly requested item in the future. Oh no, it's temporarily out of stock on Amazon now. Hooray!
There you go, you're rich.
I got in beforehand. There is a fantastic review on Amazon. It gives it 2 stars, and it just says, not the best, but an investment. Their review is, not the greatest game, but purchase a thought it might be rare one day, which is exactly my thoughts on the game as well. Having played it for about 20 minutes the other day, it is awful. And nobody should be playing it. I was sat there thinking the whole time, yeah, I can understand why Office Create wanted to block this. This is not.
Is it similar to the other releases?
Yeah, so I don't remember the other Cooking Mamas particularly well, but it is that kind of like structured mini games as you build up to end a recipe. But like the artwork is really weird and it feels really cheap. And then Mama is some of the things she says just make me feel uncomfortable. She regularly says stuff like, "Oh, you should have your own game," and it's like, "Yeah, it'd probably be better than this." But the cool thing is that you can take photos of your creations and then share them on Twitter, and that's like the only good thing about the game, is because you can also like draw things on it out of source, and I like that because you can do inappropriate things and they can't stop you.
Oh,
because I am a base human. Speaking of inappropriate things.
Where are we going with this?
I got to work on my segues. Well, so, I mean, yeah. Epic Games has partnered with the US rapper Travis Scott. First of all, have any of us ever listened to Travis Scott? Just no. Okay.
Never heard of him before this.
Yeah. So I'm aware of his output, but never actually listened to his stuff. But like looking back over his sort of catalog, a lot of it has some fun language in it, particularly the titles, which I'm very excited by. Is Travis Scott really the person they should be going with on this?
No.
I wouldn't like to say I don't know his back catalogue at all. I have no idea what his work's like, but so I can't really comment to that. But he sounds very popular, and it's it's a good get for Fortnite and Epic Games that he's going to be releasing a brand new song within Fortnite. So he's going to debut it there, which is it's again Epic and Fortnite doing stuff that nobody else is doing in games.
That is true, but he does have a song called Houston Fornication.
And
I don't, I'm not a prude, but Fortnite is technically like a children's game, pretty much.
Yes.
It's for everybody, and it just feels weird to me that like they're getting a rapper who is not hugely mainstream as far as I'm aware, but still well known, but still does have some sort of dodgy lyrical content potentially.
Yeah, I imagine they won't be putting that particular song front and center. I think there'll be, it's like any like celebrities these days. They've all got their like skeletons in the closets. So like, it's just one of them things. It's business, isn't it? I can't comment, but I have to wait and see.
I just think there's other artists, even rappers, that they could have picked that. Like, I've heard of Travis Scott and nothing against him. If another game that was adults was doing this, by all means, he'd be the perfect pick. But for a game that's, let's face it, a lot of kids play it. Like, I know it's for
the
everyone,
cartoon art style and everything.
But
then they also had Deadpool in there, and Deadpool's definitely not for kids. So who even is Fortnite for anymore? Anyway, so as a wider topic, to get off the fact that we're all old and don't know what music is anymore, is this the future of concerts? Because we'll have to face it, like large gatherings are not going to happen for the foreseeable future, and so concerts and events like that just are kind of out the window. Is this going to be something that we see more and more people going into and signing up for? And are we interested in going to these concerts? I mean, Kaylee, is this something that you would, if Fortnite had a band or singer on or whatever that you particularly loved, would you download it and go check that out?
Probably not on Fortnite. But like with Cyberpunk coming out as an example, the singer Grimes is going to be in it. Like, I would I would check out a concert if she was doing that specifically in Cyberpunk.
Okay,
definitely.
So it's interesting. So it's not like for you, it's you wouldn't be drawn to a game because of the artist in it. You still need to be interested in the game.
Yeah, if I've got at least a bit of an interest in the game, I'm a lot more likely to do it. And I also like Grimes as well. So for me, that's like perfect. So yeah, if she did a concert because she's a character in the game, by all means, I'd watch it. Or
not if Grimes was turning up in Fortnite.
No, because it's Fortnite.
There's nothing wrong with Fortnite.
I avoid Fortnite like the plague.
I like Fortnite. My problem with it is whenever I have to re-download it, it's like 100 gigabytes. I mean, on the phone as well, I've already mentioned the trouble I've been having with Pocket Camp. So I imagine my phone will explode if I download Fortnite. But I'd give concerts a go. I think it's cool. They did DJ Marshmallow last year. Which, it's more the event and everything. Everyone's talking about it, being part of that experience. Especially in times like this, it's cool to have a social events like this. It goes a long way.
That's true.
I think it's a good idea. I do think it's a good idea.
So I think for me, like, I would actually go into Fortnite and download Fortnite if there was a band I really wanted to see. Because American Football did a gig in Minecraft recently, and I would have killed to have gone to that, but it was at 4 a.m. Whereas the Fortnite thing that they've done, which I think is really great, is that they are doing like multiple events for everybody to join in. So there's there's one date in the Americas, there's 2 for the EU and Middle East, and there's 2 dates for the Americas, EU and the Middle East, and then Asia and Oceania have all got their own times. And I think that's really great. I think that's possibly, if you can agree to get like an artist to do multiple concerts, I think that's a smart move. I think that's what's going to draw people in.
Yeah, I was going to ask then, because when DJ Marshmallow did it, he was like hooked in to I think they put loads of technology on him and like, what's it called? Like portrayed him in the game. Like, what's it called? Like scanned him in. There we go. Is that what they're going to do for Travis Scott like 5 times? They're going to scan him every time? Or is it one concert and then they're just going to repeat it?
You have to assume it's going to be pre-recorded. And then in that case, you're probably going to get a lot of people like streaming it. And unless they can have like 5 different concerts with different songs and different performances and all that kind of thing, I think a lot of this actually is going to be lost in people streaming it on Twitch and everybody just watching that and watching the playbacks of that rather than actually joining in the game. I think so. Yeah, you've raised an interesting point about like you have to provide enough variety in the performances to actually make people want to join them, because just being there isn't enough for people these days because you can just stream stuff.
100%.
Yeah.
So give me Foo Fighters. We'll talk. So.
I don't have a segue for this next story, but we are running close to time on Zoom. So, Danganronpa, one of my favorite game series of all time, is finally coming to mobile. It's skipping every other console. It's only been available on PS Vita and up until recently when it was released on PS4. All 3 games are going to be released worldwide on mobile with new options, including event galleries and all this kind of stuff to encourage people to go back and download it again. There's also going to be a crossover event with Identity V, which is a horror game by NetEase, which is like an asymmetric 4v1 thing. Does anyone care about Danganronpa?
I've never played one.
Kaylee, tell me more about why you care about Danganronpa.
Well, for the reason that Matt just said, I've not actually played it, but I've heard of it. And I've wanted to play it for ages, and coming to mobile, yay!
Yeah, I think it's a great idea because it's going to hit like a huge audience, and it is a fairly slow-paced visual novel, and that seems to work quite well on mobile. Like visual novels on mobile are just a huge genre, as we've seen with like Episode and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's interesting to be skipping other consoles and just making the jump to mobile. Although I guess because it's very Japanese, so that kind of audience which regularly plays a lot more hardcore games on mobile is going to really dig into this. I think I'm also excited about what else they're going to announce because they've got more. That was their first announcement for their 10th anniversary. They're going to announce more stuff on future streams starting from May. And I'm super excited to see what comes from that. And I am just going to quickly move on to our final story. And we're going to look at one of our soft launched games because we do maintain a regular list of all the games that are in soft launch, or all the big games at least. I'm sure there's some we miss. Frogmind, the Supercell owned developer of games like Rumble Stars, are back with Rumble Hockey, which has been soft launched. I can't remember where. Matthew, you added this to the list. Please do tell me about Rumble Hockey and where it is launched.
I can't remember off the top of my head where it's launched. I think it was Philippines, to be honest. It's normally Philippines. Everything's launched there.
Wrong. Actually, it was launched in Canada, Finland, Australia, Spain, Romania, and France on both iOS and Android. I do have the article in front of me. I was just testing you and you failed. So,
well, no one's perfect. But they are fun games. It just seems like they started Rumble Stars I think it was 2 years ago, and it's basically you play as loads of animals and they're playing football, and it's just a very quick, fast-paced game. Lots of fun. I played quite a bit of it. I know a few staff members here have tried it as well, and it just seems like they've found a formula that works. It's smart going into like the sport market and everything like that. Times like this again, and going into hockey. There's not that many hockey games I feel like either, especially ones with animals.
None that like spring to memory at least. I don't know if the NHL has really made it to mobile yet. Although I'm sure that'll be just a matter of time, really.
Yeah, the big one I can remember is the one on Apple Arcade. It's the one that launched recently. I can't remember the name of it. But,
no idea what it's called, but I know exactly what you're talking about. This Rumble Hockey does actually look fun, though. I've looked at the trailer. Obviously can't get my hands on it yet because it's not available here. But the trailer looks really interesting. It looks very fast-paced. You're sort of flinging your team around to pick up the puck and then shoot it into the opponent's goals. So it'll be very short matches, very high energy, very colourful. I was going to sort of question, like, does this mean, are we going to see like even more Rumble games? I think Rumble as a brand isn't great, but I think they're building sort of an aesthetic that I think could be really interesting. I don't know if anybody else has any opinions on is Rumble going to be the next big thing?
Why do you think Rumble as a brand's not great?
Because I mean, you've got Rumble Stars and you've got Rumble Hockey, and then you could go like, oh, Rumble Basketball or whatever like that. But you couldn't just refer to it as the Rumble series because Rumble just doesn't work as a name for me.
Let's get ready to rumble. Right.
Yeah, but Ready to Rumble's already a game on the PS2, and it was boxing, and it was bad. Whereas, so the other thing as well is like, as much as they have animals and it's cute, it was a similar thing with Crossy Road, so Crossy Road obviously was a hugely popular game, and then they tried to sort of turn it into a franchise recently by making it like a weird like platforming sequel. I think it was Crossy Tower or Crossy Road Tower or something like that, and it just had like characters, but it was literally just chicken and cow and unicorn and all this kind of stuff. And there's no like, as much as you've got tigers and hippos and bears and stuff, like you can't turn those into people unless they've given them names and characteristics,
like proper mascots and everything.
Yeah, it's like with the Angry Birds. The Angry Birds recognized that Rovio recognized that very early on.
Red Bomb, Chuck, etc.
Exactly, and they've all got names and characteristics and personalities now. Whereas I think any other sort of animal-based brand really needs to start focusing on its characters and who and what they're going to be.
If they're the same animals in Rumble Hockey as it is in Rumble Stars, then they could build upon that. I mean, but from my memory, I don't think they had names. They might have done, to be honest. I didn't play loads of it, but it hasn't stuck with me. I think that's one point of it. Against it, the names haven't stuck with me, if there are any. Yeah,
I think they've got to really. I think their games are great. Because Frogmind also did Badland and Pocket Gamer over the years, as I loved Badland consistently. So I think the stuff they do is fantastic. It's just that building a brand, which is what has been so core to Supercell in building like Clash Royale from Clash of Clans. Like I don't think Clash Royale would have had pretty much the same amazing impact straight out the gate that it would have had if it wasn't for the Clash, the Clash of Clans brand being part of it.
That's fair.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm glad we all agree.
I was just going to say, outside of Rumble Hockey, have we got a particular sport we'd like to see the series take on?
No, because I don't really like sport.
Oh, you're no fun.
Boxing. I'd love to have a panda beat up a tiger.
There you go. Let's get ready to rumble. That'd be perfect, see?
That would actually be great.
Yeah.
There you go. Frogmind, if you're watching.
Check in the post.
Yeah, feel free to send a check to Matthew for that one. Right, we are going to have to wrap up because we are hitting our Zoom limit, and that timer just keeps on counting down. Thank you so much for joining me and for joining us for talking about the games out on the mobile devices. That's what we do, but we do it a bit more seriously, or we would if my brain wasn't slowly deteriorating from the fact that I can't go anywhere. So, God, and now I'm kicking things over, and it's going to be terrible.
Is that enough?
Thank you so much for joining us. It's a goodbye from Matthew.
Goodbye.
It's a goodbye from Kaylee.
Bye.
I've always wanted to do that because it's like University Challenge. And it's a goodbye from me. Please do check out PocketGamer.biz for all your news, and do check back next week for hopefully the next edition of the podcast, so long as technical issues do not continue to mar us. See you later.